Hello, students. So in this activity, we're focusing on solving for a, which is a parameter, meaning it's part of the quadratic equation. It's a number in our quadratic equation that describes the shape of the graph. And the picture on the left that you see here all has the same vertex, where I put the vertex at 2 comma negative 4. So you can see that this point right here is kind of pegged in the same spot. And the letter A is the only thing that's changing in the equation. And I just made it slide back and forth between positive 10 right there, and then going down to negative 10 like that. And so you can see that as it goes from positive to negative, we have our happy parabolas and our sad parabolas. And the bigger the a value, the further away from zero it is, then the skinnier, the taller and skinnier of a parabola we get. So big A values make skinny parabolas, small a values make wide parabolas, and positive a values make happy parabolas, negative a values make sad parabolas. So we'll dig into that a little bit deeper in this activity. This one right here is just your chance to play around with vertex form. And you see, like I was describing, that as you slide the a value around, as soon as it becomes positive, we have a concave up, opening up parabola. As soon as it becomes negative, it's concave down. I usually just call it happy or sad. The technical term is concave up for a smiley face, concave down for a frowny face. The h value is just the x coordinate of the vertex. Notice, of course, that it says x minus h. We've talked about that. And the k value is just the y coordinate of the vertex. What we're going to do over the next few slides is break down the process for finding the a value. And so when I look at this graph right here, I can identify that the vertex is at negative 3, comma 3. And here's another point, negative 2, comma 0. I could have used lots of points other than that one. Like I could have used, for example, negative 4 comma 0, and there's other points I could use as well. But really all I need is I need to know the vertex, and I need to know one other point, and then I'll be able to find the exact equation using vertex form. So let's move along. Like I mentioned here, you have your vertex and other possible points. Now it asks us here to choose the equation that correctly models the vertex. Well, the vertex tells me to go x minus h squared plus k. So I want to make sure that I have a plus 3 on the end, and I want to make sure that I have a minus negative 3. Notice I said minus negative 3, and that's why the equation says plus 3. So this option down here is the correct option. The other ones were decoys, where I used the numbers from negative 4, 0 and negative 2, 0 in the equation. But I wanted to use the vertex, and so that's why the plus 3 and plus 3 is the correct one. Now we're going to use the point negative 4 comma 0, although I could have used the point negative 2 comma 0 or any other point that I can identify exactly from the graph. The important thing is to remember that x is negative 4 and y is 0. So I'm going to take 0 and replace the letter y with 0, and I'm going to take negative 4 and replace the letter x with negative 4. None of the other equations do that correctly. The first equation plugs in the negative 4 for y, so it switches x and y. The third equation still has the letter y in it, that's no good. And the fourth equation still has the letter x in it, that's no good. So equation number 2 is the only one that correctly works here. So now you have this equation, and what I want you to notice is that all I did was the parentheses first, and negative 4 plus 3 makes negative 1. And if I square negative 1, I get positive 1. Negative 1 squared equals positive 1. So my equation becomes a times positive 1 plus 3. A times 1 is just the letter a. And if a plus 3 is equal to 0, then a has to be negative 3. I want to mention that you should have known that it could not possibly be positive 3 or positive 1 because that would make a parabola that's going up. So the only options were -3 or -1. And the other thing I want you to notice is that my parabola moves down 1, 2, 3 steps for one step to the right. And because it has that initial slope of -3, I know that the a value is -3 without even solving for it, just by looking at the picture itself. Now we have the full equation. And so this is the correct version because it has the correct vertex of +3. The one on top of it is close, but it has a vertex of -3. So that would have looked like the same shape just down here instead. But we wanted to have the correct vertex. So in those slides, I broke it down one step at a time, and I spell it out here what the different steps are. You can always come back to these slides and review it over and over again until you have it down. You should also write it down in your notebook so you have it step by step for you when we're doing the test. Okay, now I'll do the whole process. I'll do 2 examples. I'll do this one and then one more example. When I look at this one, I see that the vertex is at the point, looks like 1, 3. So I know my equation is a times x minus 1 squared plus 3. I see one other point is, and then I have another point at 0, 5. So I take the y value of 5 and the x value of 0, and I substitute them in. I do what's inside the parentheses first, which gives me -1. -1 squared is +1. A times 1 is just a. And you solve a +3 by doing -3. So the letter A is equal to 2. So the final equation is y equals 2, x minus 1 squared plus 3. Let's try it. Y equals 2, x minus 1 squared plus 3 goes through the 2 points. I'll do one last example, and then we'll call it good on this video. Here we have a vertex of -2, -3, and we have another point of -1, 1. So we have an equation of a times x plus 2, because I did minus the x value, -3. Then I substitute in the y value and the x value. Then I get 1 squared minus 3, which is just 1. A times 1 is just a. And the opposite of minus is plus. So my full equation is y equals 4 times x plus 2 squared minus 3. And we can try that out here. Y equals 4 times x plus 2 squared minus 3. And it goes through the points. Please comment or ask questions if there's anything that I can do to help. Practice this over and over. Write down your notes so that you can do it. But make sure you come back to this activity until you're able to do this skill. This is something that from here on out, I'll expect you to be able to find an exact equation, and it will help you on your project.